Somewhere along the way, Alien stopped trusting its audience. And when a story stops trusting the people watching it, it begins to die. There's a difference between competent characters making mistakes and poorly written characters doing stupid things. That difference is the soul of storytelling. The thin wire stretched between tension that feels real and spectacle that feels manufactured. Think back to Alien. Every choice those characters made sense. Dallas and his crew weren't idiots. They were professionals, following protocol, relying on trust and experience. When Kane awoke from his parasitic slumber and rejoined the others, they trusted that Ash, as science officer and assumed medical authority, wouldn't have allowed it unless it was safe. It wasn't recklessness, it was faith in expertise, and in that faith lay their undoing. When Brett went after the cat, he wasn't careless, he was human. They weren't written as puppets of the plot, they were written as people. That's what made the film endure. Competence within ignorance. The audience learned the rules of the nightmare with the characters, and we believed because they behaved as we might have behaved. Now look at Prometheus, Covenant, even Alien Earth. In these stories, we watch learned scientists and seasoned researchers make pedantic, almost juvenile errors. They eat and drink in high-priority laboratories. They remove their helmets in alien atmospheres. They leave lids off samples that could rewrite human history. These are mistakes people of their pedigree would rarely, if ever, make. And when they do, it's not tension we feel, it's disbelief. Even the convicts of Fiorina 161 felt more real. They were flawed, frightened, grounded in the grime of their world, and therefore believable. What's been lost isn't only intelligence, it's respect. Respect for character, for story, for the intelligence of the people watching. I'm not saying every character in future Alien projects should be perfect or infallible. That's never been the point. The point is that characters, dialogue, and realism are being sacrificed to keep the plot moving. So much so that audiences aren't just ahead of them intellectually, they're growing angry and impatient with the creatives behind them. At its core, Alien is losing realism, the very foundation that made it revolutionary. The original film was grounded in the lineage of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Ridley Scott's masterstroke was taking Kubrick's visual and emotional sensibilities and using them to tell a different kind of space story, one rooted in workaday humanity, silence, fear, and awe. Cameron carried that legacy forward. Fincher did too, shaping Alien 3 into something bleak, believable, and psychologically honest. But after Resurrection, the march away from realism and from coherent, intelligent characters and dialogue began, and it has never really stopped. Look at Andor. Tony Gilroy and his team refused to condescend. They built tension from thought, from consequence, from the power of words. They trusted the audience's emotional and intellectual intelligence, and it paid off. That's the same trust James Cameron and David Giler extended in Aliens and Alien 3. They didn't sacrifice thought for spectacle. They knew spectacle without thought is noise. They rode upward, not downward, and the audience met them there. The proof surrounds us. Films like Interstellar and Dune show that ambition and intellect draw people in. Audiences crave meaning, coherence, and awe. Nolan and Villeneuve invite us to think and feel simultaneously, and viewers reward them for it. Meanwhile, Alien, once a peer to 2001: A Space Odyssey, has slipped toward the territory of B-level science fiction. Not because the creature has changed, but because the caretakers have. They mistake familiarity for reverence. They believe that repeating the iconography is enough. On top of this, when directors and showrunners lose respect for the alien itself, everything unravels. When its design feels careless, when its movements border on absurdity, when its presence no longer terrifies but entertains, the audience feels betrayed. The perfect organism becomes a prop, and the fear that once defined it turns to farce. Audiences aren't apathetic, they're frustrated. Frustrated that something sacred has been mishandled, diminished, and cheapened. This isn't nostalgia, it's grief. We don't want Alien to repeat itself. We want it to remember itself. Since Alien Resurrection, the series has spiraled inward, recycling its own echoes. What was once vision has become formula. The terror that once expanded imagination now feels small, safe, and predictable. The answer isn't another reboot. It's respect. Respect for writing that thinks. Respect for the creature as a force of nature, not a theme park attraction. Respect for audiences who have proven again and again that they will rise to meet great storytelling. Cameron, Giler, Hill, they built universes that made sense beyond the screen. They gave us dialogue that breathed, silences that matter, words that felt alive. They treated Alien as myth, not merchandise. The franchise doesn't need louder visuals or faster pacing. It needs courage. Courage to slow down, to think, to earn its terror. Courage to write with the intelligence that defined it in the first place. Because the moment a story forgets to respect its own intelligence, it stops being art and becomes commerce. And Alien was never meant to be commerce. It was meant to be legend.